Zimbabwe's leadership transitions have historically been turbulent and marked by political maneuvering, factionalism, and, at times, violence. Since the formation of the Zimbabwe African National Union (ZANU) and later ZANU-PF, leadership changes have rarely followed a smooth or democratic path. From Ndabaningi Sithole to Robert Mugabe, the Magaga Declaration. In the early 1960s, Ndabaningi Sithole was a founding member of ZANU, having broken away from Joshua Nkomo's Zimbabwe African People's Union (ZAPU) in 1963. Sithole initially led ZANU, but his leadership came under scrutiny after he was imprisoned. While in detention, a group of ZANU military leaders issued the Magaga Declaration in 1975, denouncing Sithole's leadership and endorsing Robert Mugabe as the new leader of ZANU. This marked a significant turning point in Zimbabwe's liberation movement, as Mugabe eventually consolidated control over the party and its military wing, ZANLA. From Ian Smith to Robert Mugabe, the 1980 transition. Zimbabwe gained independence in 1980 following the Lancaster House Agreement of 1979, which ended the Rhodesian Bush War. Contrary to the narrative that the liberation forces, ZANLA and ZIPRA, militarily defeated the Rhodesian army, the transition was largely a result of diplomatic negotiations. The first democratic elections in 1980 saw Robert Mugabe's ZANU-PF win a majority. While Mugabe was a key figure, many analysts argue that any credible African leader would likely have won, given the population's overwhelming desire to end white minority rule. Mugabe's subsequent rule became increasingly authoritarian, culminating in the declaration of a one-party state in 1987 and widespread use of state security forces to suppress dissent. From Canaan Banana to Robert Mugabe, centralizing power. At independence, Canaan Banana served as Zimbabwe's ceremonial president, while Mugabe held the more powerful position of prime minister. However, Mugabe sought to consolidate power, and in 1987, the constitution was amended to abolish the prime ministerial role. Mugabe then assumed the executive presidency, effectively merging the two centers of power under his control. This move was framed as a structural reform but was widely seen as a strategic power grab. From Robert Mugabe to Emmerson Mnangagwa, a military-assisted transition. Robert Mugabe ruled Zimbabwe for 37 years, during which time his leadership became synonymous with economic collapse, political repression, and human rights abuses. In November 2017, amid internal ZANU-PF factionalism and growing public discontent, the military intervened in what was widely described as a soft coup. Mugabe was forced to resign, and Emmerson Mnangagwa, his former vice president, assumed power. While the transition was presented as a restoration of democracy, many critics argue that it merely reshuffled power within the same ruling elite. Thank you for watching.